Yo, yo, yo. The freight world, unfiltered coffee running strong. Oil field carrier keeps the wheels rolling on. Fraud expert spots the scam before it lands. Sarcastic broker with a comeback and a plan. 3 views, 3 personalities, no filter, no fake. Smart, fast, honest.
Do you even freight?
Do you even freight?
Well, good morning. Apologize for being a little bit late this morning. We call it F it Friday. Now it's effed up Monday, but hey, we made it ish, I think.
It's freaking Monday. At least we're out of bed. At least we're doing something. Hey, we're here.
You know, I tell folks, they say, "How are you?" I said, "You know, the good Lord decided he saw fit to wake me up this morning." We're going to get to look at our grass from the green side, not the root side. That's a win. That's a win.
Oh yeah, I get people sitting there asking me all the time, how things going, and I was like, oh, every day's a holiday, and they're like, yeah, your life must be nice. And I was like, no, if I get up and I'm above ground, it's a holiday. I'll celebrate that.
That it is. It's another day to I guess be thankful for what we've been given. So we'll take it. We're a little bit short this morning. Shimmi had a little family emergency that she had to go deal with this morning. So right now, John and I are just kind of batching it. So for all the single ladies out there, my apologies in advance. But no, we're gonna power on through it. We're gonna make it through there. I believe we have a third wheel coming in to kind of help keep us a little bit stable, because
it's necessary. Yeah,
both of the two of us on just 2 wheels is terrifying. But we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll get there. But as we get into our show this morning, we've got a couple of headlines we can get into. The first one, and this one kind of was interesting to me, but Chris Spears abruptly left the American Trucking Association. President and CEO Chris Spears left the organization effective immediately Friday, August 21st, right after having a contract extension through 2029. Yeah, that sounds like some Texas A&M BS there, and I can say that because I are a Aggie. Jimbo Fisher, was laughing his way to the bank on that deal. I'm kind of wondering what's going on here that did the same things. ATA is not really saying anything. I don't know. Have you heard anything there?
No, this is actually the first time I'm hearing it. It's normally the rumor mill really starts spinning when you see an abrupt change in a major organization's leadership. This one has me scratching my head. I'm really hoping we see some more details over the next couple of days. But since this happened on Friday, I'm willing to bet the attorneys are already in on this, saying, everyone shut your mouths. And if you ever worked for a big organization, the attorney is second to the CEO. And when the attorney sits there and says, anybody say a word, we're going to fire your ass too, then you pretty much better just shut your mouth. So I don't think we're going to hear what happened for at least a couple of days yet. But the rumors will start flying today, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of truth in the next couple of days.
Lord willing. ATA was known for pushing a lot of larger industry regulation. I know they were behind part of the push for the electronic logging devices that a bunch of the independent owner operators just railed against. I've not seen a whole lot come out of them that I necessarily agreed with, but on the flip side of that, I've not seen a whole lot come out of them that I've really disagreed with. So I can't really say one way or the other whether or not him leaving is a good thing or a bad thing for the organization.
Well, I mean, the perception of the ATA has always been that they're not there for the independent owner operator or the small carrier. They're only there for the mega carriers. And when the mega carriers want something, they go to ATA, because let's face it, ATA's biggest role is they're a lobby organization. They're lobbyists. And just like TIA is for brokers, they're a lobby organization, and as such, they focus on the deepest money that fund them, which is going to be the big mega carriers. So you can expect to see the mega carriers are doing things, and it could very well be that they pissed off the mega carriers, and the mega carriers may have been driving the change. Who knows? It's going to be fun speculating on this for a little while. Mother, go ahead and throw up the disclaimer, because we are just speculating here. We're not attorneys controlling this. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do you guys realize the serious memory leak and crashes every time I try to watch the show? Yeah, I've actually heard that about LinkedIn. I don't know how many times now. So if you are on LinkedIn, you need a more stable platform. Yes, you can absolutely go to our YouTube page, which is at Kiss This Media. You can also watch this from our website, kissthismedia.com, and click on the Do You Even Freight tab on the upper right part of your screen. So you can watch this show in other places than just LinkedIn if you need to. A public service announcement there while Kevin gets his connection stabilized. You with us, Kevin, or are you frozen? Oh, he's frozen. That's okay. Stuff happens. So ATA has been an interesting part.
There we go.
He is back. I knew you'd be back.
I'm back. We're fighting.
I've not moved on from the ATA thing, so you can go ahead and move on to the next one if you want.
All right, let's change our volume settings here. That way I can hear you.
That's right. You had to go on a different device, didn't you? Guys, it is Monday. This is one of the fun parts about doing a live show. In fact, before we got on, I had to do an update on my laptop, and I thought it was only going to take 2 minutes, and turned out lasting 20. So I'm glad my update finished soon. Holy cow, man! Well, what are we going to get? 2 of you in here? Okay, it's finally cleaning up. There we go. Dude, I cannot hear a word you're saying. I can't hear him at all. Mother, can you hear him? Because I can't. And I don't know if he can hear me.
Dadgummit.
Okay, there we go. Again, live shows, you gotta love them. You want to go ahead and move on to the next.
Interesting.
You want to move on to the next news story?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. I've got one right here for you. An Arizona trucker. Well, it happened in Arizona. A driver was arrested in Arizona following a rollover accident. Yeah, this one was awesome. I-40 just west of Ash Fork, where his tractor trailer overturned in the median. Crews with the Ash Fork Volunteer Fire arrived to find that the driver, the only person in the truck, was already out of the vehicle and unharmed. So, hey, I resemble that. Come on now. Everything was going good. And then they decided, hey, this dude kind of smells a little bit like alcohol. Maybe we need to double check this. At which point the driver was placed under arrest for suspicion of DUI. I don't get it. I don't. We had this conversation here the other day, right? Drinking and driving is bad, right? We don't want to do that. But drinking and driving a commercial motor vehicle is even worse. So let's make dadgum sure we're not doing that.
I have seen that debate on both sides. I have seen the drivers who have made a terrible lapse of judgment and then struggle to get through the clearinghouse's program to get back in good graces on their CDL. The reality of the situation is when you wind up in a situation like this, insurance isn't going to touch you with a 20-foot pole.
No.
it's next to impossible to get a driver insured who has wound up in this situation. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know damn well that there are plenty of drivers out there who partake and imbibe from time to time. Having any alcohol in your truck at any time is just a big no-no, whether you're drinking it or not. In this particular case, this moron decided he was going to drive a little bit on the tipsy side. Did the article indicate what his blood alcohol level was?
While checking the driver who declined to be taken to the hospital, paramedics noticed a strong smell of alcohol coming from him. I didn't see anything in the article that posted a BAC or anything like that. But man, I got to tell you, it's definitely interesting.
Well, actually, I think what is more interesting, his cargo was sunflower seeds.
Not just any sunflower seeds, certified organic sunflower seeds.
So I can only imagine how much money we're talking about is the loss on this particular rollover. Now, when you mix that with the gasoline that I'm sure poured out of the truck in the process, you got a hazmat incident now. Okay, so hazmat remediation. You got a bunch of sunflower seeds along the side of the highway. In Arizona, I imagine we were having some kind of sunflower type popcorn taking place all over that highway.
Yes, but if it ever made it into the ditch, we'll now have us a new sunflower field right there.
That is going to be actually kind of pretty. But kind of like my toes right now. Yes, I get I do get pedicures, and yes, I get them with color. So those of you who want to take away my man card, eat me.
No, I think what you do, John, is you go and you have sunflowers painted on your toenails.
I will have to do that next time. I'm going to have to do that next time. I'm going to have to send a picture of that. I'm going to have to send a picture of that. Okay.
That's definitely one of the pictures or it didn't happen type deals right there. Yeah, ramp up those roadsides. And I mean we're getting into, CVSA brake check week, so there's going to be a whole lot more roadsides. Terrifying fact, I'll see if I can find it and provide the information for our next show, but in the small town of Mentone, Texas, which any of y'all are from West Texas, y'all know where Mentone is. State Highway 302 at the intersection of 302 and County Road 300, they built a super coop. That sucker is open. There is
what's a super coop?
A super coop is a Nazi terrorist training camp. That is where DOT tortures you. Drivers will find back roads to go around it.
Wow.
Yes. They made a big one. And they did an enforcement action there that was, oh man, I forget the number of it, but out of it was like 400 total inspections done. They issued a whopping 3 stickers. It averaged 4.8 out of service violations per inspection.
Oh my God.
Welcome to West Texas.
So, around the rest of the country, 1 in 3 vehicles are out of service. In West Texas, pretty much all of them are. So don't get next to a truck.
Yeah, 6 out of 4 in West Texas are out of service. That's exactly what that is. And not all of us that were out there were that way, but there's such a huge fleet, if you will, of trucks hauling sand, trucks hauling water. And these guys are paid by the hour. The qualifications to have a CDL in the Permian Basin are, do you have a heartbeat and can you get it into gear? If either of those two are yes, and it's not a both, it's an either or, then congratulations, you can come drive a truck for me. It's terrifying.
Oh my God, that is
there
great.
are fleets of Cascadias that are multicolored. And you will see a sand truck break down it'll go in the ditch. And then over the course of the next 3 days, you will see it,
Oh, and
you
there it
know,
freezes again. There it goes. Okay, you're good. You're good. You're good. I see you again.
you'll drive by.
Apparently, Kevin decided to turn into a transformer. Um, moving on. On the regulatory side this morning, on the 20th of the month, Representative Harriet Hegman introduced House Resolution 10123, the Stop, and that's all caps, by the way, the Stop Improper Licensing Act. Now, we have had a big push in this country during the course of the year regarding non-domicile CDLs. And what a lot of people don't understand is that non-domicile CDLs are actually legal. They are 100% legal. It's just whether or not they were issued legally is the big question. So with that being the case, there is now a resolution out there on the floor to specifically identify the requirements of FMCSA in auditing non-domicile CDL issuance in every single state and publish those results. Now, a failing score is basically going to require a 60-day period for the states to correct the problems or face the lack of federal funding. Now, they're putting this in as a House resolution because this will finally codify DOT's actions into federal law. Which right now, the reductions in highway spending that we're seeing DOT take on is a discretionary type action. What this does is finally codifies those actions to make them permanent and constitutionally legitimate. So, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I really don't care. Non-domicile CDLs are 100% legal. It just needs to be issued legally. Now, if you have to go to a separate state to get your CDL school requirements completed and get that CDL, get back to your home state as soon as you can. Get a proper get your CDL transferred so you don't even have to put up with that BS anymore.
Question
Makes everyone's
for you,
life
John.
easier. Answer.
Did you see the interview with a Texas state trooper that talked about people coming up here with a Mexican CDL that weren't from Mexico?
I did not. That's interesting, and I'd love to see the link on that.
Again, I will see if I can find that. But the issue is, and he said what they're seeing, especially down in South Texas, is they'll see Hondurans, Guatemalans, Cubans, these guys that'll show up and say, "Hey man, why don't you come drive a truck for me? I don't have a CDL." Well, hey, $2,500, I can get you a Mexican CDL. And a week later, here we are driving a rock truck. And because it's a Mexican CDL and because of NAFTA, because of the free trade agreements that we have with them, when DPS pulls them over, they have a valid Mexican CDL. They have to honor that.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I did not know that, and I'm going to have to do some more research into that because I know that if you have an MX authority, meaning a Mexican DOT authority, you can only run freight into the U.S. and then run freight right back out of the U.S. You cannot run a load U.S. to U.S. That's referred to as cabotage, which is something that happens a lot, particularly in the I-10 corridor between Texas and California. We do catch that happening on a regular basis, but that is illegal. So
that happens with Mexican carriers and Canadian carriers. You'll see stories about that too.
Correct. It happens. Yes, it's not exclusive to Mexican authorities. You're 100% correct. So a lot of motor carriers out of Mexico, however, a larger percentage of Mexican, out of Canada versus Mexico. A larger percentage of Canadians have both a U.S. DOT and a Canadian DOT to minimize their risk of falling into that category. But it's not quite the same with the Mexicans. The idea is the Mexican drivers should be able to cross the border at a legal crossing, make their deliveries El Paso, San Antonio, Houston, wherever, and then turn right back around, grabbing a load there and come right across the border again into Mexico. That is the intent of that procedure. But I am completely unaware of the Mexican driver's license, Mexican CDL itself, being utilized by a U.S. DOT to operate on U.S. soil. That is a new one. I'm going to have to reach out to a good buddy of mine, Administrator Derek Bars. I'm going to have to reach out to a good buddy of mine, Administrator Derek Bars, and have a little conversation to find out what they're going to be doing about
I'll
that.
get the link on that. Mother just sent over the results from the Mentone inspection. 351 inspections resulted in 1,935 violations issued, or 5.5 per inspection. 167 vehicles out of service, or 47.5%. 34 drivers out of service. 138 weight violations with 46 citations. 97 registration violations, 57 FMCSR driver violations, 17 hazmat violations, 6 oversized violations, and a total of 4 CVSA decals issued.
Well, man, kudos to the 4 that got their decals.
Yeah. There's 4 people in this whole freaking area that can make sure their tires are aired up and their lights work. I mean,
it goes right back to the CDL issue too. Yeah, I wonder how many of those guys had fake licenses, had improperly issued non-domicile CDLs, because we do know that CVSA in their blitzes are watching for those things. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to get the breakdown when CVSA publishes their numbers from inspection results. I have not seen the inspection results from the second inspection push this week, but I'll get to that when we talk about the red flag later on in the show. I am super interested. They
are watching for it.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. What I am interested in, however, is our main topic for today.
Yes, and you, having had some experience as a dispatcher in the past, have a little bit different take on this. Are independent dispatchers being pushed out of freight? Or independent? I'm going to take that one a little bit further, John. Are independent dispatchers needed? And if so, where and why?
That is actually a real good question. And I am being told right now by Mother that we need a female anchor to keep us stable at this point. So the last time we had this issue, we had Michelle Hutchison come in and help us out. She is actually the host of our Your Voice segment, the interview segment that we publish on Tuesday mornings. And I believe she is in the green room. There she is. Good morning, Michelle. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, guys. You are talking about a topic that I'm quite familiar with, so I'm excited. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. And I hope you're familiar with it, because God knows you and I have talked about this on more than one occasion.
Yeah, we actually have. And Mother reached out, and I'm knee deep right now in dispatching some of my own stuff, because my right hand is out today. I hate dispatching. I'm just going to let you know that straight up front. Been doing it too long, and I have zero patience. I just cut right to the chase. So let's dive in. I'm excited about this topic today.
Okay, so let's be clear here real quick before we get started. There are two different types of dispatching that take place in this industry. You have, thank you very much, Mother. We appreciate the disclaimer. There are two different types of dispatching that take place. You have one, the broker side of dispatching, which is the equivalent of carrier sales. These are the guys who actually instruct the carriers in what they're supposed to be doing, issue the rate confirmations, et cetera, and then pass everything on to track and trace. But these are employees of the brokerages. The
As
other
such,
type
they
of
fall under the brokerage's MC.
correct
That's
and
an
operate
important
under the
distinction
broker's
here.
authority. It is. It absolutely is. And then you have the dispatchers, more importantly, the independent dispatch services that represent the motor carriers. Now, they have to follow a very specific set of guidelines, and that's kind of where things start getting into the mix today, especially in a post-Montgomery world where we're trying to determine whether or not a motor carrier is safe for use. We're starting to see a change in broker attitudes, indicating that, well, brokers don't want to deal with dispatch services anymore. And is that a good or a bad thing? Please post your comments for us, because we love for the public to get in on this conversation, and because I know that there's so many opinions out there on this. Because God knows I have my opinions, but you see, I get to see this from both sides. I was, as many people know, I was a contract dispatcher for 5 years. I ran my own dispatch service. And for some background, in 2023, the FMCSA actually published guidance regarding dispatch services and their use, because there were a lot of dispatch services out there that were operating not quite as representatives of a carrier, which would make them bona fide agents of a carrier, but they were acting more as brokers in terms of how they move freight from carrier to carrier, sometimes obtaining the freight before having a carrier available, which violates all different kinds of rules. So this final guidance that was published in 2023 helped to more clearly define the role of a broker, the role of a bona fide agent for a carrier, and where a dispatch service fits in. I will break down the individual rules as we go through this conversation. I've actually got the Federal Register open in front of me, but hell, I really don't need it. So I've been through this forever. I seriously thought when this came out in 2023, I was thinking, oh dear God, what am I going to do for a job? They're trying to kill dispatch services. And I realized, no, once I read the regulations, no, they're not trying to get rid of dispatch services. They're trying to define how they're supposed to operate properly. But you had a lot of brokers initially come and say, oh, they specifically are trying to identify rules about dispatch services. I don't want to play that game trying to figure out whether or not dispatch service is good. So as a brokerage, we're not going to work with dispatch services ever. Okay. I kind of understand the feeling of that. But this is where the regulatory side kicks in. Y'all remember Delilah's Law, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember Delilah? We have seen Delilah and her father on I don't know how many different outlets over the course of the last year regarding Delilah's tragedy. The Delilah Law, one of the parts of the Delilah Law specifically bans the use of foreign dispatch services among motor carriers. Foreign dispatch services among motor carriers, because a lot of the dispatch services that are out there are Eastern European, Indian, Pakistani. There are a lot of different nationalities involved in dispatching. And let's face it, with that being the case,
the number of calls I get daily from an area code that matches the area code that I have. Hello, Kevin. Is this Kevin? And I say that in my best, Texan Indian accent, right?
Try being a female in a foreign dispatch situation.
Yeah.
That's all. That's huge. That's fun. That's so much fun. Yeah.
Well, the first words
Oh,
out of I normally get is, "Do you have flatbed available?" No, I have a dual lane available. Oh, what's that, brother? If you don't know what it is, you can't dispatch for it. Have a good day.
Oh God. Yeah.
so what do you? Okay, now you brought up being a female. What do you experience, Michelle, when you're talking to a foreign dispatch service?
Well, since this is the show that I could be, brutally honest, we get kind of treated like shit. We're great over text, but the minute a dispatcher, and it's not all, I'm gonna qualify that, but there's a lot of them where I've had to say, so I'm just curious, are you being disrespectful because I'm a woman? Like that really, and that throws them off. But I find a lot of disrespect. I get treated like I'm stupid. I've been mansplained about how to work in this industry. They try to educate me. It's not just them, it's on how to do my job. Please
Well,
don't.
let me throw a little education at you about how to do your job. No, I'm sorry. I had to.
John, just remember we talked about last week. Watch out. I said,
Michelle, I love you. You know that. You know I love you.
I know. It's difficult sometimes. We get treated worse than we do by some of these foreign, a lot of it's a cultural thing. And I can sit here and say, oh, I understand that, but I don't, because you're dispatching to people in the US, women in this industry who know probably way more than you do. And it's time that you start treating just everybody across the board. And it's frustrating. Now, I do have there are some really good dispatch groups, and I understand they're needed because there's a lot of independent drivers out there, owner operators, and they connect with these dispatch groups to help facilitate loads. They can't do it on their own, right? But there are these huge batches and I could go on forever. You know that. Interrupt me. But so many
times you're on a roll. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot stick. Thank you.
You poked the bear this morning on a Monday in transport, right? I'm on my
why we brought you back.
Woo! Yeah. And the other thing I noticed is so many of these dispatch groups, they dispatch it and they're gone. They're dispatching and gone. When you work with a dispatcher that works for the company, it's so much easier to get updates, to find out what's going on. I have learned over the years that it's I need your cell number, not the cell phone that gets passed around the office, but I need the cell phone where I can connect with you. It's just a whole menagerie of things, but they do serve a purpose. But then there's some really shitty ones out there that need to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. Now, if you guys want me to, I will go through the rules here as to what constitutes a good dispatch service versus a bad dispatch service. And what I mean is by dispatch service that requires a broker authority versus not having a broker authority and working as an agent for the carrier. Okay, so in order to not need a authority, one, the dispatch service has a written legal contractual relationship with the motor carrier. Okay, so that's first and foremost. You need to have a contract.
Okay,
and
jump in.
Sure, please.
Okay, first off, Amy, I just want to comment on Amy that says, yeah, she's needed. And I agree. There's a lot of dispatch services out there needed. Now, regarding this law, here's what we've seen. And I'm only jumping in because I have an example. We have had carriers recently that give us the driver information and the VIN, and then, oh my gosh, a couple hours later, their truck broke down. They send in somebody else, but they have a lease with this guy that just happened to get signed today. And they're not, so when you talk about paperwork, they're trying to jump this regulation by sending us some bullshit lease that looks the exact same that just happened to get signed today because we're so stupid. Yeah, so go on.
That's if you're going to lie about it, at least be convincing and backdated by a couple of weeks or something. Come on.
Dum-dums.
Don't Do not give them ammo. Come on, Kevin.
Wow.
The number one rule in fraud prevention, okay, is to never tell them how to fix the scam.
No.
Okay, never tell them how you're finding them. You don't give them a playbook. Jesus, Kevin,
Fair enough,
I
but
should
John,
smack
some of the
you.
stuff that you brought out, it is so far beyond what I would think up for myself.
Oh,
I'm like,
of course.
how
Of course.
what amount and in what combination of drugs were you using to come up with that idea? You know,
What amazes me is the guys who really study this to exploit it. They could be constitutional scholars.
Mhm.
They study this stuff like there's no tomorrow and try to find every possible loophole and then test those loopholes on brokers who may or may not understand the regulation or may not have even heard of the regulation.
so a very high
And this,
degree of
by the way,
intelligence and a
Michelle,
very
this
low
is not a
arousal
law.
threshold.
This is not a law. This is officially final guidance. This is guidance by FMCSA. It is not a law regarding dispatch services. However, these are the measures that FMCSA says the broker should utilize when trying to determine if somebody is a legitimate dispatch service. And by the way, if you are a small motor carrier out there or an owner operator and you choose to use a dispatch service, make sure you're checking for these as well. So again, first is having a contract. Second is the dispatch service complies with any kind of state licensing if it's applicable. Now, I did this out of Georgia and Florida. There were no special licensing requirements as such. Therefore, I didn't have to worry too much about that. The third is the dispatch service goes through a broker to arrange transportation. A dispatch service cannot get direct freight from a shipper. And this is a very key point here. You know, the broker is the one who brings the freight to the table in a transaction. The dispatch service is supposed to bring the truck to the table for the transaction. Okay. Not have freight and then go find a truck. It does not work that way. Dispatch services. So pay the hell attention. Item number 4, dispatch services does not provide billing nor accept compensation from the broker or third-party logistics company, et cetera, et cetera. Basically meaning that the dispatch service does not handle the monies. Now, as most of us know, dispatch services do a lot of back office work. So a dispatch service can issue an invoice on behalf of the motor carrier, but that money never goes into the dispatch service's pockets. Okay, it must go into the carrier's coffers, the carrier's bank accounts, and then from there, the carrier has to pay the dispatch service at that point. So, very important distinction about that. I actually had some brokers who sat there and said, "Oh, you're doing an invoice for them? You're violating it." No, I'm not touching the money. I'm just doing their back office work. Get it right, guys. Number 4, dispatch service does not provide. I already talked about that. Why the heck did I say that? Number 5. Hey, it's Monday.
It's Monday.
I'm still working through my first coffee, guys. Number 5, dispatch services is not an intermediary or involved in the financial transaction between a broker and a motor carrier. 100% correct. Again, we do not handle the monies. Number 6, the dispatch service is an IRS 1099 recipient of the motor carrier or a W-2 employee of the motor carrier as specified by that, number 1, written legal contract. Number 7, the dispatch service discloses that they are a dispatch service operating under an agreement with a specific motor carrier and the shipment is arranged for that motor carrier only. In fact, I used to have a disclaimer written on the bottom of my emails in red and bold, specifically stating, I am a dispatch service. I am operating on behalf of the carrier that I am representing and only that carrier. I had that built in because it was necessary to clarify that. Plus, no broker could come to me and say, John, you're not a carrier? No, I'm a dispatch service. In fact, look at my signature block. I very explicitly tell you that. Number 8, dispatch service.
Time out.
Hit me.
Back
Hit
it
me.
up.
Hit me.
Number 7. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a drink. Take some coffee. The one that you said that vodka. Welcome to Monday. They
Not fun.
tequila. All right, let's go. So
Coca-Cola, okay.
Hey, let's do that for Friday's show.
yes. I love that. Wait. Oh, dang. I won't be there. Okay.
I'll save
Friday's
this
show
for
I may
Friday.
be doing from a hotel or an airport bar. So,
Hey, this is Mothership breaking in here since you're not paying attention to my chat.
Oh.
Amy Kern is on audio only.
Oh, bring her in.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Hello,
Hi,
Amy.
you
Are
guys
you there?
Can hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Amy. Welcome. How you doing?
Good morning. How is everybody?
Okay,
Fantastic.
I knew I was going to get somebody. I knew I was going to get somebody wanting to call in on this.
No, I just, you guys are talking about dispatchers, and that's what I do. And let me tell you, we are very much needed. Maybe not all of us. We're not all the same, but I know I'm needed. I don't know about everybody else, but I just had to touch on that.
Yes, absolutely, Amy. That's what we said. I mean, you guys are needed. There's not the ability for all of the, like, even the independents and all of the owner operators to do all this themselves. And if they can find a good dispatcher like yourself, of course we want them to use it, right? It's just, I think we need to weed out the bad guys. I want to touch on what Kevin said about, and Amy, you can jump in on this too. You said you only represented one company. Is that true, John? Or because I know these dispatchers represent multiple. So I think I need clarification on that.
I actually represented as many as 7 at one time.
Okay. Yeah.
Now when I'm working on getting a load, and Amy can back me up on this. When I'm working on getting a load, I am only representing one of those carriers.
Got it.
And in my initial contact with a broker, I will specify which carrier I'm representing. I'll provide their DOT and MC number. I'll provide the equipment capability. I'll provide all that stuff up front with my
being
bid.
honest and transparent.
Yep.
That 100% correct. That is how I started, because I know when I was a broker agent and I posted a loadout on a board, the first email I get is just the DOT number or just an MC number. Okay, and that's all they put in there. They don't tell me what equipment they have. They don't tell me who their driver is. They don't tell me any of that crap. They just put that in there, and it's like, okay, congratulations. What do you want? So I always believe putting that information out there from the get-go for initial contact set me above and beyond the others as we go through. Now there are 2 other distinctions that I need to bring up here real quick. The dispatch service does not subsequently assign or arrange for the load to be carried or moved by another motor carrier. And what that means is, let's assume for a second the carrier I originally represented breaks down. Okay, which does happen.
Yep.
All right. I cannot take another one of my motor carriers, because I represent multiple ones at a time. I cannot take another motor carrier of mine and just arbitrarily give them the load. Okay, that's called allocation. If I do that, I have to have a broker authority. And even then, I still have to, it would be double brokering at that point, because you have to have a proper transfer between the first carrier and the second carrier by the responsible freight broker.
Amy, how is, from the question that Mother just threw up there on the screen with the new vetting procedures and everything else, and hopefully you're still with us after John's long-windedness there. Love you.
Do we have to pay into the swear jar for that?
Oh, thank you, Kevin. I love John so much, but take a breath, my brother. Take a breath.
I think he had to take 5 or 6 to get that out. How are the rules affecting you? I mean, Amy, what are you seeing in your business?
Well, what I've noticed is safety score matters. I ran into an issue when I was working with a trucking company, and I couldn't get some of my contacts to sign them on because of their safety score, so we weren't able to run with them. And I do the same thing John does. I let you know, most of the people out here that I deal with know the carriers that I work with, but I put all that in my email. Um, but I mean, other than the safety score and stuff like that, like honestly, with the new rules and regulations, I mean, I haven't experienced any issues other than that safety score. Even brokers that we've worked with before are like, sorry, can't use you. But as
So
far as dispatching, are you talking about
I'm
dispatching?
guessing. Yes,
Mhm.
on the dispatching side of things, I'm guessing you probably already have some pretty good relationships with some brokers,
Oh, for
and
sure.
carriers that kind of go with you. You know, a stable of carriers, a stable of drivers, and there's already a level of trust built there.
Yes. Yep.
What about the brokers that aren't used to dealing with the dispatcher, or the carriers that aren't used to dealing with the dispatcher? What words of wisdom do you have for those guys when it comes to a dispatcher trying to work with them?
I can just tell you from what I've experienced and what I've been through. I've been doing this for what, 5 or 6 years now. I used to, when the carriers would call me, I have a big heart because you got to start somewhere. And you start noticing sometimes that some of these carriers out here really don't know what they're getting themselves into. And you find, or I've found myself, you
Synchronized tape
know,
taking here on screen.
I found myself running it down for them and telling them, if I'm asking you for your dimensions and you don't even know your truck's dimensions, then what are you even doing this for? But like I try to tell them starting out, especially with new authorities and stuff, like you're not going to go out here and make the kind of money that you think that you're going to make, because you only have a select few brokers that are even going to be willing to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I
You're right.
stopped working with the new authorities, unfortunately, because all the contacts that I've made in the industry, they just can't sign them on anymore. So I'm not gonna sit over here and stress myself out and pull my hair out and go through all of that unnecessary stress anymore because I already know what it is. And I do offer that because I still get phone calls from carriers all the time. And I'll tell them
Oh yeah.
straight up, but I'll ask them, about their equipment. And I'm like, listen, I can't help you personally because my contacts can't override your authority anymore. Because I used to be able to do it,
Yeah.
and they just can't do it anymore. And I get it and I understand it. And I just can't help them. So unfortunately, I just have to let them know starting out who they need to call. And they're gonna have
You
to run with them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
From a broker perspective, when a broker has a deep level of trust with a dispatcher like Amy, then yeah, if it's something can be waived, they will do it. But the compliance
Yeah.
departments at brokerages drive those rules. And when a compliance department sits there and says, you know what, minimum 6 months, no matter what, then it doesn't matter how strong your relationship is between the dispatcher and the broker. I don't know how many times I've heard, I'm sorry, John, I'd love to give you this load. I just can't. They just cannot pass.
Yep. Same.
I experienced that with Landstar almost a year ago when Landstar changed their requirements to be more safety focused on CSA scores. And a couple of the carriers that I worked for, they couldn't haul Landstar loads anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get past the compliance department, and most
post
good
Montgomery.
dispatchers. Well, it wasn't post Montgomery. It was
No,
before
but I said
Montgomery. They
especially
started doing it.
post Montgomery.
But yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
I think some of it too is when we started seeing and identifying though these carriers from the auto side we did, and I'm sure it's the same on freight. We started identifying where, like, you know how you get those violations and all of a sudden they're gone and then they're back and they get the new DOT and the new MC number. So that's where we started to really crack down, was like, if you have less than 6 months authority, why? Now I
Mhm.
have overridden, just Amy, so you know, where we have a driver, for example, that has worked with us for quite some time through a company A, and they decided to go off on their own. And they might be a little bit new. We start to give them smaller moves, things that we can start to build trust and a relationship with, because the guy went off on his own, or the lady went off on the driver went off on their own. So that's something that we look at and say, okay, we can track, they'll say, I did this order, this order, this order. We can go back in and kind of look at their performance, because
You've developed a history with that driver.
Yeah, with that
So
exact driver who
it's
went
a new
off
authority, but there's verifiable history back there behind it. That changes the equation a little bit.
Yeah.
In the chat there, Natasha Cruz Sanchez, how would you tell someone they should get more involved in conversations like this? Professional development is so important, and many people don't invest in that.
Oh,
I love
my
that
God,
I love that
Natasha. Oh, God, I love you so much, Natasha.
It is important. That's why I try to catch every podcast that I can, because listen, from when you hear all these conversations about everything that's going out here, because listen, logistics, there's so many aspects to it. There's so many people that do, you do this person does this, and it's just interesting to actually learn about everything, that's involved with the industry. That's why I feel like
Yeah.
it's important to chat it up with everybody.
Absolutely. And it's good that we're all starting to talk about it. Like, with like what Mothers put together here, there's got to be communication from everybody, brokers, carriers, dispatchers, drivers, everybody, even shippers need to be involved. And I've talked about this a lot, where it's about educating. My whole platform is about educating right now. I've been doing this so long that I'm like you. It's like, I agree with Natasha. How do we educate? Where does that come in? And it's just a matter of having the conversation and finding out and invest in it. Yeah.
Figure out where you can plug in at. There's industry groups, there's trade groups. I'm a member of the SCNRA, which has been a big benefit and a big resource for me, both in terms of
SCNRA?
Specialized Crane and Rigging Association.
Well, I thought he was
sorry.
Yeah, I know, NRA. I was like, wait, what are you involved in?
Yeah, I mean that one too. I like my pew pews. I have a shirt on the back that says, "Since we're redefining things, I identify as a cordless hole puncher." So take that how you will. But in all seriousness, though, I mean we're here to have fun, but we're also here to educate, and that's one of the big things that we're trying to do. But as a driver, as a broker, as a shipper, as a carrier, as a dispatcher, get involved in your industry. Get involved with other folks in your industry, and they don't have to be fellow dispatchers or fellow brokers or fellow drivers or fellow carriers. Make friends in all of those markets and try and understand things from other people's perspectives, and how regulation affects you, how it's going to affect you, and how to minimize your exposure and your risks for that. As much as I hate to say it, we're kind of getting short on time here. Natasha, thank you so much. We learn stuff. I mean, we're putting the show together and learning stuff every day on it. I listen to John talk about regulations like shit. I didn't know that.
Well, the one thing I will say, Kevin, really quick, and then I'm going to hop off of here, is I must admit that I have learned, being in the position that I'm in and dealing with the carriers and stuff, I've learned so much from each one of my drivers that are actually out here, like, out here on the road and doing these shipments and doing these loads. And I've also learned so much from my broker friends that, I'll FaceTime or talk to or whatever. And, just the aspect that they deal with on their end as well. So you are absolutely correct. It is about learning. And I've definitely definitely have learned a lot from my drivers and the brokers out here. And so, I do greatly appreciate every person I come in contact with in the industry. It's been great. I'm going to hop off here. My driver's called in. I'll talk to you guys
Amy,
later.
go handle your
Have a
business.
blessed
Thank
day,
you so
Amy.
Thank you,
much.
Amy.
Same. Have a good day, guys.
For our
Bye.
listeners out there, for our audience, if your dispatcher is authorized to act for your company, should a broker refuse to work with them just because they're a third-party dispatcher? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what you think. As we move forward, because we're kind of running a little bit low on time here. I don't know. Do we want to do? Yeah, let's do our hot load of the day. This one's a fun one. And this is one of very, very many that we've seen. When your trailer identifies as a transformer.
What is that? How is that thing?
It's a specialized trailer.
It is. It's a folding trailer.
It's called a fold up.
Yep. 80,000 pound batteries coming from, generally speaking, California, and they've got to go to points east. Generally not a problem, except when you start getting more than 3 axles in a row. In the oversized world, states don't like it. Texas, I can put as many in a row as I want to. My oil field trailers are 5 in a row, which works great for Texas, Oklahoma, South Dakota, North Dakota. Arizona doesn't like it. Georgia doesn't like it. California doesn't like it. So there is such a thing as a 4-axle step deck. You'll see them up in Michigan for guys that haul coils. 4-axle step deck would be great for this. Unfortunately, California doesn't recognize it, and neither does Arizona. So these drivers are thinking, well, I'll get a lightweight setup, and I will be able to scale out at a max permit on 6 axles for an 80,000 pound piece. And what we end up with is this. CHP has since gotten wise to it. If they see a battery on a 3-axle trailer, they immediately pull them over and ask for their permit. Optimus out of his prime. I love it. Optimus got tired, had to lay down and take a nap on that one.
Don't make fun of my boyfriend. That's not very nice. I love that. Okay.
So this comes back to people trying to get creative, and I applaud the creativity. I just don't applaud the execution of said creativity. Know what your oversized, overweight laws are. Know what your configurations you're allowed. And in this instance, get an RGN with a 3+1. It's doable. Unfortunately, and I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to catch some backlash on it, but there are a bunch of brokers and a bunch of dispatchers who have bid these loads down so cheap that it is not worth it to put a 3+1 on it. It only pays decent enough to put a 3-axle step deck on it. So there was a time when batteries paid really good. They don't anymore. And now you get this. What is it we said the other day? You can get it fast, right, or cheap. Pick any two. Pick any two.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Moving on from our hot load of the day, believe we have a red flag with Mr. John Cantera this morning.
Thank you so much for today's red flag. We've already kind of touched on this a bit. We currently have a inspection blitz in progress. The CVSA has their third inspection blitz of the season going on. It is brake week. Therefore, they are inspecting brakes, drums, rotors, etc., all across the country. Expect this blitz to last through Friday and into Saturday. Many states may continue it for another couple of days going into next week. However, this is one of the big 3 blitz weeks. For you brokers out there, that means capacity is going to be reduced, because if a carrier knows they're not up to snuff, they're not going to be on the road. What's going to be really interesting to see is what the percentage of out of service is going to look like when this blitz is done. Remember, guys, the first blitz that took place this year, we saw 1 in 3, 32.5%. were out of service. So 1 in 3 trucks that are riding next to you on the highway is complete trash. Wait and see what we have after the brake check week is completed. This is going to be fun to watch. I love watching these.
It should be interesting, right?
Oh, it's always fun. I keep a scoreboard up. There are a couple services out there that have scoreboards that run throughout the week to kind of keep a running tally of the violations that take place. I'm going to be watching that throughout the week. Okay, folks, we have come to the end of our hour. We really do appreciate Michelle for stepping in for Shimmy and helping us out today. We always need a strong woman to come in and anchor us so that we don't get too far off the rails. Thank you so much for assisting us. If you ever want to catch any past episodes of the show, you can always go to our YouTube or to our website, kissthismedia.com. We do keep 4 or 5 past episodes on there at all times, so you can check us out there if you'd like. For the entire KTM team, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again on Wednesday. And the one question I have for you, do you even freight? See you on Wednesday, folks.